Good morning, it's Talking Reds, Harriet Prior and John Gibbons, and it's a result that keeps us in the title race. If you've given up on it, turn off now, because it keeps us right in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. We did what we needed to do. We bounced back from Saturday with a win. It wasn't always looking like it was necessarily going to be the case. We watched it together, didn't we? And after 3 minutes, there was a lot of worried faces around the pub. But
very quiet, dead silence across Metrocola.
But equalised straight away, which is obviously a fantastic thing to do. You know, we didn't have time to feel sorry for ourselves. We were straight back in the game, and then get the win second half with a nice Sadio Mane goal that he enjoyed as well, watching it back. So yeah, all smiles this morning in the Tor Towers.
We are all smiles this morning. You've been watching Drive to Survive, haven't you? Whenever I think about people giving up on the title race, I think of that last race of the season where Max Verstappen just comes back from nowhere. That could be Liverpool, couldn't it? So.
Well, let's hope so. I'm not there yet. I'm just at the start of Series 3.
Spoiler alert.
But I know what happens in the world of sport. That was quite a famous thing. So I'm just sort of starting Series 3. But listen, there's no point giving it. You know, what's the point? And I think that's what we either said to the players is, you know, why not just keep winning and see what happens. I mean, Klopp said himself that he doesn't think City will drop points, but who knows? We're all Wolves fans tonight, and it's a tough game. They've got another tricky one at the weekend as well. So it is over to them now. We don't play now in the league for another week, so they've got 2 games before then. So normally that's a positive, isn't it? It's funny, normally you say, we got a chance to sort of build up a lead, but now it's just 2 chances to slip up really, and that's how it is. So sort of the positives of playing becomes a negatives really. So there's 2 opportunities for them to slip up before we go to Southampton, and listen, I'm sure we'll all be watching and pacing our flats or houses and praying, fingers crossed, that someone does us a favour.
Yeah, we'll talk about City in a bit, but just looking at last night, when we conceded the goal, I thought it could be a point where it sort of was downturn from there, but actually reflecting back on it, it might have come at quite a good time where Liverpool knew that Aston Villa were a threat and they knew that they had a lot of work to do, but it gave them that sense of, okay, let's kick on now, let's go and win this game and get that, maybe our first goal wouldn't have come so quickly if we weren't trying to respond to a goal we'd just conceded.
Yeah, there's 2 reactions to something like that, isn't there? There's, feel a bit sorry for yourself. You know, we would have gone into the game knowing that the weekend has made it harder for us to win the league, and so you can see there early, you know, it is possible human reaction to go, it's just not gone for us at the moment. We're not winning this league title, and to not go on and win the game from there. But they chose the opposite reaction. They deserve credit for that, really. They went, no, we're not having this. They came back, they got on the front foot, they scored straight away. Joel Matip poacher's finish, is that he can't do, and they're straight back into it as well. And listen, I think the timing of the goal helped. If they'd gone on a little bit longer at 1-0, then who knows what would have happened. But they do deserve credit really for not feeling sorry for themselves, for treating it as a bit of a wake-up call really, and getting themselves straight back level.
Yeah, and Klopp spoke about the mentality of the players after the game and sort of said this is why we're in this situation, because of the mentality of the players. Yes, they're incredible footballers, but almost the way they manage to perform under pressure, keep a cool head, and just have that desire to keep moving through every single game and find a way. And I think at the weekend what was maybe more frustrating is that we felt like Liverpool couldn't find a way, but last night they were back to doing what they do best.
Yeah, and look, listen, you will drop points eventually. You can't win every game for the rest of, eternity, and so days like Saturday will happen, but what the top teams do is to make sure that the one-offs, or it's the odd day rather than, something that becomes a bit of a habit. We needed to bounce back with a win, and they did, and you saw how much it meant to them as well. Harriet, the winning goal was celebrated, like we were going top of the league, and after the game as well, it was great to see all the players go over. Jürgen did the fist bumps and stuff like that, didn't he? So they're not acting like they're out of it yet. They're not acting like we're not handing any titles over, because as I said at the top, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? You may as well keep fighting to the end, and then it looks like that's what these boys are going to do. Yeah,
it was a good Aston Villa team. They actually came out a bit stronger than I expected, and I felt like they were set up to frustrate us, and we've been seeing that increasingly, haven't we, over the last part of the season, that teams are coming to Anfield or we're going to their grounds, and they're just trying to frustrate us, use different tactics to waste a bit of time, to stop our momentum, and it's really hard to play against, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and I think as well they've got players who can hit you sort of on the break as well, and so you always had to be alive to that threat that they had. I think Watkins
really exciting players actually.
Watkins is a very busy player. We know all about Danny Ings. He's one of the top forwards outside the top 6 clubs, and scores goals and is busy. So those two forwards are a very lively combination, and will keep you honest as defenders really. And so it means you can't just be throwing men forward and going gung ho, because they'll hit you. And they were finding pockets of space, and they were finding opportunities, to hurt Liverpool really. Obviously you've got Coutinho in the hole. He's another player who we know all about.
He was like on a revenge mission, wasn't he? He was
that was interesting. He was sort of enjoying himself. He looked fired up, and we know with the damage that he can do with both feet as a footballer. And so I think it was a tough one for us, because obviously we wanted to attack, and they were obviously, as you say, set up to frustrate in a way, and the way to combat that normally is by getting more men forward, but we had to be a little bit careful with their threat going the other way. So I thought it was an evenly balanced game in many ways really, and a good battle between attack and defence both sides. But we back ourselves, don't we, to have the superior quality. We know our forwards, the one we allowed, and Sadio Mane, the man of the moment, it is who gets the winner. We
absolutely do back ourselves. Let's talk a little bit about individual performances. Let us know in the comments who you thought was man of the match last night. Diaz again is exceptional for me, and what's impressing me most is his versatility and the fact he can play across basically all positions in that front line, and he's a constant threat. He's constantly giving the opposition defence something to think about. He's such a talented player, and how glad are we that he's a Red?
Yeah, well absolutely. He was picking up different pockets of space throughout the game last night, which is something that he's done throughout, but I thought was even more so. 1 minute he'd be down the right wing terrorising the left winger, the next minute he'd pop up sort of in a left inside forward channel really. And so that's great, because I think when we're at our best, we're unpredictable, and I think when we're at our most fluid attacking best, we're interchanging, the lads are swapping in, the number 9's pulling left, the left forward is cutting into that space and just dragging defenders all over the place, and the defenders sometimes don't know where to go. It's like, well, do I go with my man, he's pulling myself or where, or do I let him go and back to full back to sort of pick it up, but he might have another option with another thing to worry about with our full-backs overloading, and you can just see sometimes the brain's almost whirling and overheating, like an old car who can't sort of cope really when you see these defenders when we're at our best. And I think Diaz is all part of that really, and he deserves huge credit for how well he slotted in. Sadio Mane was talking about after the game about how he feels like he's got a really good understanding with him already, and how they get on, but on the pitch they feel like they know each other. And he was saying basically, I knew what Luis Diaz was going to do, so I positioned myself there. And that's really impressive in a short amount of time. But that's what I think the elite footballers just sort of understand each other on another level really. And I think when guys come in who are of that quality, people just go, they just sort of click with each other quickly really. And I think that's what's happened.
Yeah, I love that from Mane, talking about the understanding that they have, and like you said, after such a short space of time, the fact that they instinctively know where the other's going to be on the pitch, it's unbelievable. Let's talk a bit about Mane. There's a comment here, let me try and find it. Howdy, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. I will not be responsible for my actions if Sadio Mane is allowed to leave the football club. Agree?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, listen, we've got such affection for this group of players because of everything they've done. The champions of the world, champions of everything, and this group sort of did it together. One or two of them have started to drift off. Obviously, we lost Gino and Alden last summer. A couple of others who were sort of moving on. There'll be one or two more. It's going to be a tough day when Divock
Don't
leaves.
say Origi.
It's going to be a tough day when Divock leaves this summer. But Mane's been one of the stars, as he's been a revelation. And it's funny, they asked him after the game about is this your best spell in a Liverpool shirt, and Sadio made a bit of a, is this your favourite time in Liverpool shirt? And Sadio went, I prefer it when we win all the trophies, which was like a nice joke. But yeah, no, it was boss. But it just got me thinking of I understand why the guys sort of asked the question really, because he is playing so well at the moment, but he's been pretty much at that level since he joined. Even straight away when he came in from Southampton and scored that goal against Arsenal on his debut, he just went, wow, what a footballer we've got here. And he's unbelievable that first season. That's before Salah comes in. He's our talisman, do you know what I mean? He's our main fella. Remember him going to AFCON that year and it being our form just absolutely falling off a cliff. Luckily, we've got a lot lot more forwards now, and so, you know, this year, you know, even though it was him and Mo, it wasn't quite as pronounced, but, you know, trying to pin down his Liverpool time to, I'll remember that 2 months when he was exposed, if you're like, oh, which one? Do you know what I mean? He's been absolutely brilliant. So it is mad to think that he might go. I hope they sort something. There's obviously a little bit of Bayern Munich talk and things like that, which you understand.
Not really buying that though. It seems to be very agent trying to.
Well, there was talk between a swap between him and Gnabry, which is like, when do you ever see those things actually happen? You know, every now and again they're in the papers and they never materialise, these swap deals of elite footballers between clubs really, and so I don't think so, but it is Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah all out of contract next summer. And
can we keep them all?
Can we keep them all? Can we afford to keep them all? Do we want to keep them all? Do the powers that be, you know, want to sort of freshen up a little bit in terms of the money that they be expecting? So it's tough. I think, you know, it's not just Sadio, but one or two others, you know, we might end up saying goodbye to a little bit sooner than what we want, and it's going to be sad. But it's only sad because of the great times we've had. So, you know, it's better to have loved and lost than never loved at all.
Absolutely, but I don't think they're very pretty. I don't think we're going to be losing Sadio Mane yet, though. I think, especially this calendar year, he feels like he's been really invigorated by coming back from AFCON, and the arrival of Diaz as well has helped him out. John's written here, Henderson excellent when he came on, perfect timing. Do you agree? I thought Henderson was really, really impressive when he came on. Obviously less than ideal that Fabinho goes off. Hopefully it's not a serious injury. Klopp seemed to hint that he'll be okay, but Henderson was impressive in that holding position once again. Yeah,
he was, and I think he's had a good couple of weeks, Jordan, and I said on our post-match audio show last night, I was a little bit surprised that maybe he's not played more over the last couple of weeks. He seems to be, you know, first off if he's starting and you know, on the bench sort of more often than not really, but certainly showed his quality.
Yeah.
I would expect him to play the FA Cup final. I think I would have expected him to play anyway, but certainly now with Fabinho sort of getting this knock, but he looks determined as well. I really liked his interview after the game as well. I really liked his performance, but afterwards, the way he was talking, you know, he understands that, you know, there's 2 weeks left in the season and it's his job to keep everyone focused, to keep everyone, you know, determined, to keep everyone confident. And you could see that on the pitch as well. He was talking all the time last night when he came on, you know, encouraging, you know, handing out a couple of Wallackens when it was needed to as well. And I think, you know, I enjoyed his performance last night, and afterwards you could see why he's the captain when he was sort of, you know, talking really. There was a warmth to him, but also a steel there as well, that like, you know, this is it now, this is where it matters. We've done so well, we've got to this position, this is where we win the cups. Yeah,
this is where we win it. We did the job we needed to do last night. As you mentioned earlier, City play tonight. They go to Wolves. They go away to Wolves. It's not going to be an easy game. Klopp said after the game yesterday, we don't waste energy thinking hopefully they lose. I don't know about you, Jurgen, but I do. I waste a lot of energy thinking I hope that they lose, because that's what we need, isn't it? You can't deny the fact that for us to win, we need City to lose. Could it be tonight?
Yeah, it could. We'll see. There's only so many games left, isn't there? So it needs to, you know, we can't sort of hang about on it really. So I'll be watching. I think you're going to be watching as well. I think he's a bit of a liar, to be honest with you. I'm sure he'll be watching his gaff.
Watch for 60 for analytical reasons. That's what he says, isn't it? That's the line.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm sure you're going to be watching. I'm sure Liverpool fans all around the world and you guys will be tuning in as well, unless you've got some superstitions where you go off to the cinema or something. I remember in 08-09, me and my friend Ben, we climbed up a mountain in Wales with no signal. It was when Man United were playing away at Fulham. And we went up this mountain, and when we came back his phone just went berserk because he'd had no signal, and he was like, something's happened here, and Fulham had beat Man United, and that was in the 08-09. So depending if they win tonight and there's West Ham on Sunday, I might get on to Ben and say, should we get off that mountain again, because maybe it was lucky we get up the mountain for West Ham Liverpool and see what happens.
Go and climb the mountain, no signal. I'd rather have no signal tonight and just check the score at the end, but we know that obviously they played twice now, West Ham at the weekend. It works in our favour, there's no denying that. We can sit back, see what happens, and it might impact how we decide to line up next Tuesday against Southampton, whether we're still feel like we're all in it or whether Man City have just blown both teams away. But it helps us now that we've got a bit of rest to just let them do the work, put the pressure on them now.
Yeah, 100%. It's a funny one really, because normally you'd rather have the games to get the points on the board, but in a funny way it's not about wins now, it's about drop points. It's become almost kind of, you know, winning's just flat, isn't it? Winning's like par, and it's like, well, will they drop points there? Will they drop points there? And that's sort of what it's become about, really. So rather than opportunities to extend the lead, it's almost opportunities to fail, and that's what these games have become. And it's two tough ones, and that's how City will feel. That, City will be looking at these games and thinking, if we can get through this week, then I back us to win our last home game, and I do as well, to be honest with you. So it's a huge week, but it is nice. Well, I say nice, it's going to be torture. What am I talking about? But it is in a way nice that we've done our job and it's over to them now. And yeah, well, I don't know. I will watch tonight. I'll do my wife said, and I'll pace about. I'll all the hits, and just hopefully they've got a couple of scousers in there. Connor Cody will do the business.
Connor Cody will do the business, but that's not in our hands. What is in our hands is another final this week, and we've got a Paris final coming up. I've seen us just put a little merch thing in there, so if you fancy some Paris merch, it's lovely, the Paris merch, isn't it? And we've got some lovely tops here as well. So
yeah, so if you want one of the player ones, we've got absolutely loads of player gear on there. So there's the Alisson and Diogo Jota one there. There's also a really nice
great save last night, by the way.
Yeah, he was class. Also, he was a bit mad actually, but it was a good save. There's also really good Thiago shirt, loads of good Mo Salah stuff, Sadio Mane. So whoever your favourite player is, if you want to get that shirt for the finals, there is. But also, as Harriet says, lots and lots of really great stuff that Sam's done for the Paris final.
So
if you want to get sorted, I don't know which one I'm going to wear yet. I might just take Tor merch.
My dad's already told me he wants one, so I've got to sort him out as well. You recorded the FA Cup Memories podcast, didn't you, yesterday? Tell us a bit about that. I don't really know much about it either.
Yeah, we've got some really nice FA Cup final content. It's been a bit difficult because if you remember when the League Cup final happened, we had loads and loads of build-up stuff, and we sort of almost dedicated the whole week to it really and produced some really nice stuff. But now it feels like obviously there's a cup final every 3 or 4 days really, and each game is as big as the last one. But we have obviously managed to pull together some really good stuff ahead of the FA Cup. So a few things that were recorded yesterday. First of all, Neil spoke to our friend Clive Tilsley, who commented. Well, he commentated on TV on 9, but a lot more on the radio all the way back to the 80s when he was working for Radio City here in Liverpool. So he has a long conversation with Neil about his long love affair with the FA Cup, with FA Cup finals, and working those classic derby ones in the 80s all the way through to the 90s, and the famous commentary, of course, on the 2001 FA Cup final where Michael Owen won it, according to Clive Tilsley, all on his own, and who might disagree. So that's a really good show coming out later in the week. But we did these FA Cup memory ones as well with some of our contributors. We started with some of our more experienced contributors. Is that a generous way of putting it? Some of the ones who've seen a few more Liverpool games than Harriet or even me, and yeah, we started all the way back in 1965 with their dad's memories of that, which was some brilliant stories. No grasses here, but Damien Cavanagh's dad apparently went missing in London for 2 days after he won in 65. Amazing. But that was there in Istanbul. It was the first FA Cup win for Liverpool. It was absolutely huge, and yeah, it was celebrated. Ian Salmon had a great story as well of his dad being on the front of the Daily Post after the pitch invasion, the semi-final that year, stuff like that. So we start there, but then go into the 70s and the 80s as well as triumphs and also disappointments. So it's a really nice show. We're going to record another one with a few of sort of my generation, starting around where we left off really in the late 80s and going through the 90s and 2000s. So it's a really good show. Well, the first one was really good. I'm sure the second one will be really good as well. So a few things coming up alongside all of our other usual content, previews, and looking forward to the FA Cup final. I would also say as well, our video guys went down to London yesterday, danced around the security around Wembley, and managed to do a couple of previews with Liverpool supporter and also a Chelsea supporter down there as well. So apologies and thanks to the to the people whose job it is to stop this sort of thing happening. But it is.
Well, our content looks great.
Our content looks great. So they're to come from a video point of view later in the week as well. And so it's a great time to download the app. It's a great time to get stuck in, and if you like what we do on Talking Reds, if you like the free content, there's absolutely loads more on the app. So download the app. You can either subscribe or you can get some free tokens and have a bit of a play around with that and see if you like it. But yeah, this is just obviously 1 week, and then next week will be brilliant, and then the week after
we're already planning Champions League final content, aren't we? We've got some live shows coming up as well. Big end of season party. Yeah,
big end of season party a week Saturday. So if you go to Eventim, they're on sale there. It is at Mountford Hall, which is Liverpool University. Those who were at the event a few years ago ago, remember, we had an absolute scream, both in and outside the building. We were outside singing on the steps till all hours, singing Liverpool songs. It was an absolutely fantastic night. Me and Neil have got something really, really cool planned. We've got Kieran Molyneux, Keo, playing as well, who you'll have seen. He does the sanding before and after every game. He's obviously involved in all the Boss Night stuff as well. So he's doing music, doing Liverpool stuff. We had an absolute scream with him in Benidorm, did a live show together. So had to get the band back together for the last game of the season. So that is a week Saturday. So make sure you get your tickets for that. It's the night before Wolves. So if you're planning on being around for the Wolves game, you're not really sure on each other yet, just come up the night before. Harriet says you can kip in hairs. And
I do not.
Sleep in the merch over there. And then yeah, just get involved, because it is going to be an absolutely brilliant night. I also want to give a quick shout out to a live show we've got in London. It is at Earth. We're playing Earth, exactly, in London, the Earth Theatre in Hackney, I think it is. So if you go to their website, which is Earth Hackney, so yeah, it must be, suggest earthhackney.co.uk, and you go to their website. It's on Saturday, the 9th of July. So if you want to go there and get a ticket, we'd love to see you. It's a lovely big venue with 650 seats. Neil's been, he says it's absolutely spectacular. He says the stage is huge. So I don't know what we're going to do, acrobatics. You might need to do some cartwheels.
Well, I'll work on my cartwheels just for that. When is it? 9th of July. Oh, I've got a month. It'll be 2 months. It'll be absolutely fine. Could be cartwheeling by then.
So, it's going to be like Britain's Got Talent on stage, Spanish mixed juggling, and I don't know, I've thrown knives. No, we're going to be talking about football. Come, 9th of July, come to Hackney, come to the live show. And yeah, just keep enjoying it, I think, is the message.
Just keep enjoying it. People in the comments are arguing about Haaland and how much he costs. We don't care. We've got a big few weeks coming up. Focus on what we can do and what we can enjoy, and that is the Reds every single day, because it's a huge month coming up. Come and join us on the journey. Download the app. Up the Reds.
Up the Reds.